Tonight, a violent kidnapping in Hamilton leaves one man dead, his father and brother seriously injured.
Our understanding is that there were multiple people involved.
Investigators believe the incident was targeted but are still working to determine a motive, leaving the victim's family and community stunned. Plus,
our goal is to urge Metrolinx to pause this construction.
East Toronto residents send a visual message as they gather to protest Metrolinx's construction plans involving a local ravine. And
I feel so good. I'm fully vaccinated now.
Taking jabs on the road. As Peel Region focuses on a hyper-local vaccination approach, we get an up-close look at the newly launched VaxVan. Good evening, I'm Talia Ricci. Police are searching for the suspects behind a home invasion, murder, and abduction in the Hamilton area. The frightening sequence of events started early this morning in Mount Hope and ended hours later near the Burlington Lift Bridge, where a man was found with life-threatening injuries. Dale Manukduk reports.
I don't know but I know that he don't have an enemy.
Friends and family confused by the horrific scene where two 20-year-old brothers were shot and their father kidnapped. Suleiman Khalid called from Pakistan after his sister told him what happened to her family.
The younger son, he is in very critical condition. He was shot twice in his abdomen. The older son, he's shot once on his hip. After that, he's in critical. After that, after 1 hour, we received news that the younger one is died.
Khalid doesn't know why this happened to his family members, but doesn't think it was a robbery gone bad. The older brother underwent surgery today, and this man, 63-year-old Fakir Ali, was abducted from his home. The suspects fled in a dark SUV.
Our understanding is that there were multiple people involved. We don't have descriptors at this time. We've been asking individuals in the area if they'd seen anything or anybody with video surveillance to come forward.
6 hours later, Ali was found dumped near the Burlington Lift Bridge along Beach Boulevard. It's unclear how police found him.
We located him, and he had serious life-threatening injuries and he was taken to hospital. Scene has been set up there. Like I said, that is the second scene that's in relation to this investigation.
Friends say that Fakir Ali is a leader. His social media posts show him posing for photos with a who's who of high-ranking politicians. Saeed Kazmi says the dead son also did a lot of service for the Pakistani community.
We do like programs. He's serving a food for other people, Fakir's sons who die. You know, he is a very down-to-earth kid, very down-to-earth personality.
Hamilton Major Crime Unit is now in charge of the investigation. They say it was a targeted attack but could not speak to the motive of the crime at this moment. We don't know if anyone else was present in the house during the incident. We do know that Fakir Ali does have a wife and 2 daughters. Hamilton police confirmed that nobody else was injured during this violent crime. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Hamilton.
Toronto police are investigating after possible human remains were found at the Downsview Go construction site.
Crews were working south of that area when they were doing a routine perimeter search to ensure everything is fine outside the fenced area, the construction area, and a crew member made the gruesome discovery of finding what we believe to be human remains.
Aiken says workers made the discovery this morning near Keele and Wilson. She noted the discovery was not part of an archaeological dig. She says Metrolinx immediately contacted police and are cooperating with the investigation. Work at the site has stopped, but GO service was not impacted. Police have not specified exactly what was found. Residents of an East End community rallied together tonight in hopes of saving a ravine in their neighborhood. Metrolinx has plans to build an extension to the GO train service in the area and needs to build a retaining wall in the ravine. Today, residents wanted to show people what that wall will look like. Greg Ross has more.
Residents of the Smalls Creek neighborhood near Woodbine and Danforth used cardboard to create this wall, but it represents a concrete retaining wall that Metrolinx is planning to build.
The visualization of a 400-foot-long wall after clear-cutting a Toronto ravine.
Michael Turk is a member of a local group called Friends of Smalls Creek. He says this is a last-ditch effort to protect the ravine in their neighborhood.
Our goal is to urge Metrolinx to pause this construction.
Metrolinx is just about to begin construction on a 4th GO line, which will run through Smalls Creek Ravine alongside its existing tracks there. But in order to install the new tracks, Metrolink says it needs a retaining wall.
The wall is important to protect Smalls Creek and to protect the neighborhood.
This is where Metrolink's plans to build that retaining wall, and in order to do so, they have to cut down dozens of trees here in Smalls Creek, including several that are more than 100 years old.
It is cool in the summer, it's interesting in the winter, it's interesting to look at the birds and the animals.
Turk says this kind of green space is irreplaceable, and the community does not want to lose it, which is why they went out and got a second opinion.
We have a technical advisory that says there are better, more environmentally sensitive ways to do this.
Turk says his group has been urging Metrolinx to consider alternative ways to install the tracks without disturbing the ravine, which has a creek and walking trail frequently used by the community.
We did review the proposals that they put together, and in the long range, they had more of an impact on Smalls Creek than our plan.
Metrolink says they're now going to get an independent assessment on their own plans.
We're going to get it independently reviewed voluntarily by the TRCA to ensure that we're protecting Smalls Creek.
Construction is slated to begin next month, but Metrolink says they won't move forward until the independent review is complete. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Peel is launching a vax ban to travel into neighborhoods to administer COVID vaccines. The region says it's passed the initial milestone of fully vaccinating 75% of its eligible residents, and this is the final stretch. Chris Glover checked out how it's working.
Peel's vax van is big and right in the way on purpose.
The transit is over here, so much movement, right? So everyone comes here.
Prab Singh spotted the mobile COVID vaccine clinic on his way home from work.
Actually, I live across the street, so yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's pretty convenient, actually.
He says he'll be back tomorrow to get his shot.
I have to go to Brampton to get my dose, and I was being lazy about that, to be true. So yeah, this is really great.
Mississauga's Malton neighborhood is one of 5 priority places in the region that'll see the bus. These areas have seen high rates of infection and low rates of vaccination.
So we call this our hockey hub model. So our staff move in between the lines and with their carts and be able to vaccinate.
The bus officially launched today, but technically it's operated for 3 weeks. Last Thursday alone, they administered more than 100 shots. Over 50% were first doses.
We have the opportunity to really reach our community, go where our community is.
I feel so good. I'm fully vaccinated now.
Yeah. Well, not yet, 2 weeks. This college student says her delay in getting vaccinated was 1 part medical worry and 1 part laziness. Was the easiness, was that part of the reason why you got it?
Yeah, actually, maybe, yeah. I think so.
If the weather's bad or they go into a neighborhood where they don't have this kind of space, they can also inoculate people right inside the van. It's actually a repurposed dental van. Ultimately, it'll be out almost daily to augment other clinics in places like schools.
I feel really fulfilled. Like, I love doing this. I work at the hospital too, but I really love doing it here.
Now that 77% of eligible Peel residents are fully vaccinated, the region is pushing for 90%.
What is exciting about our mobile clinics and the data we've seen so far is that even though the volumes are less, the impact is that much more, because it often is the people that just really needed to have a dialogue.
The more people who are vaccinated in our community, the more likely we will avoid further restrictions or potential lockdown measures.
Everyone is being vaccinated, so why should I be left alone, right? We are all in this together, so yeah.
Prab Singh says he's excited to do his part for his community tomorrow. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
In Toronto, officials are also making their own push to get people vaccinated. The city launched the Days of Action today, a 4-day vaccination blitz with pop-up clinics in subway stations, schools, and parks across the city. We spoke to one TTC worker who got his second dose today.
At first, I was a little bit skeptical, but after making a strong decision, I think it's a good decision for us to basically take the vaccine to protect our loved ones.
The city says the clinic's busiest times are around 5 p.m. as people are heading home from work. The city has set a target of vaccinating 90% of eligible residents. So far, just under 80% have been fully vaccinated. And Health Canada has signed off on brand names for the COVID-19 vaccines authorized for use in Canada. The Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine will now be named Comirnaty. Moderna becomes Spikevax, and the AstraZeneca vaccine will be named Vaxzevria. The Public Health Agency says there are no changes to the vaccines themselves. Meteorologist Colette Kennedy joins us now for a look at the forecast, and some nice sunshine today, Colette, and those temperatures weren't bad either.
Yeah, it was a really comfortable day today, Talia, and I'm kind of here to show you where we're going in terms of things being a little more summer-like, quite warm as we head into Friday. And keeping in mind, these are the last few days of summer, at least officially, right? It's going to be feeling very summer-like. So your forecast daily highs for tomorrow, at least 26. That's where this model's going. I'm actually putting us up to 27, and I do think we'll see a few communities heading up to 28, 29 around the Niagara region and back into southwestern Ontario, Windsor, you included in that. But you can see it almost looks like a sharp line here. That's a cold front and that cooler air behind that front. So how is that going to play out? I'll go into more detail on that coming up. You notice into Saturday the temperatures come down a little bit with that frontal boundary, but not a lot. It's still going to be a pretty comfortable day. And even for Sunday, we cool down a little further, but still looking pretty good. So there's that frontal boundary. And in terms of any showers, well, you know, a stray little sprinkle tomorrow afternoon, not out of the question. But how does this affect the weekend? I've stopped this at 11 p.m. You're going to have to come back to find out. And I'll fill you in on the weekend forecast. Tonight's low 16. There's that high tomorrow of 27 and tell you feeling like 33.
Wow. Thanks, Colette. 3 people were arrested today during a demonstration outside the mayor's downtown condo. Protesters say they were speaking out against arrests from earlier this summer when police cleared an encampment outside Lamport Stadium.
We are going to be there to support them. We're going to have their backs no matter what, because these are our people.
The group is vowing to fight the charges stemming from that encampment clearing. 26 people were arrested, and more than 50 people in total face a variety of charges and tickets. Protesters today say those should all be dropped. The demonstration moved from Tory's building to the 14 Division Police Station, where the 3 arrests were made. In a statement, the mayor said he has no idea why anyone would organize a protest outside his private home on a weekday while he is working at City Hall, a public place where people can and do protest. Ontario is opening a 10-kilometer extension on Highway 427 that it says could save drivers up to 25 minutes during peak traffic periods. 6.6 kilometers of the extension includes 8 new lanes from Highway 7 to Rutherford Road and 6 new lanes to Major Mackenzie. The other 4-kilometer stretch widened 8 lanes from Finch to Highway 7. The extension has been finished for months, but sat idle due to a legal dispute between the province and the private consortium hired to build it. The project cost $616 million. The new lanes will officially open to drivers on Saturday. The federal election campaign is in its final days, and whoever forms government could be called to answer for allegations of racism and discrimination going back decades. A proposed class action lawsuit by Black civil servants, past and present, is now one step closer to going ahead. Our Farah Morales spoke to 2 plaintiffs about what they say they've endured and what they want to see change.
This practice of excluding Black employees, of almost dehumanizing us, it has to stop.
It's been 4 months since Marcia Banfield-Smith left her job at the Department of Justice, but she says the scars from her time there run deep.
I'm almost afraid to do anything else because I think if I make a mistake, because people make mistakes, it's inevitable, will I then, or will they say this is why they never took her on at the Department of Justice?
Banfield-Smith was hired as a paralegal and went to law school while working for the government. But in 19 years, she was never promoted. Carol Sipp is also part of the lawsuit.
It became a living nightmare.
She says she endured targeted harassment for the 26 years she worked as a public servant.
Even though this behavior, it seems, was going on for a long time, nothing was done about it.
And there are many more stories of anti-Black discrimination within the federal government. The proposed class action lawsuit now has more than 1,000 plaintiffs.
The group filed a motion this summer asking the federal government to urgently create a mental health fund for Black civil servants. When we reached out to the government then, they told us that an employee assistance program already exists. Now, with the federal election campaign underway, an apparent change in tune.
The creation of a Black mental health fund is now part of the Liberal Party re-election platform.
I'm hopeful, as we sit here in an election, that our Prime Minister, that every leader will take the opportunity to speak to these issues of equality, of fairness.
It's very important to me because I look at the young children growing up, and I don't want them to go through what I personally went through or the others have gone through. It's not fair.
A fight for change for the next generation. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
Hamilton will host the NHL's next Heritage Classic. The game will take place March 13th and will feature the Leafs taking on the Buffalo Sabres. They'll be on the ice at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. The last Heritage Classic was in Regina in 2019. This will be the 4th time the Leafs have played outdoors. And here's a live look at our city's skyline. Temperatures dropping to around 17 degrees overnight as we soak in our last few days of summer. And Colette's back now with our extended forecast, and I'd be happy with more days like today in our future, including the weekend, of course.
Yes, of course, Talia, we want to see these kinds of conditions, and they'll be returning for the weekend for the most part, but we have a day in between, Friday, where we're going to find the temperatures spiking, humidity going up as well. It is the last Friday of summer. Today's the last Thursday of summer, and officially we go into fall next week on the 22nd. But we're going to see a front that's going to come through, so after some heat and humidity tomorrow, that has an impact early Saturday, and then we'll see clearing into Saturday afternoon, and the temperatures just come down a little bit. They're still actually going to be a bit above seasonal, and as we look ahead, we'll see some of these dips, but in general, too, that pattern as we head towards the end of the month, so past getting into fall, of seeing temperatures, daytime highs above seasonal. Tonight, we have the clearer conditions, a few spots where we could get into some fog again, like last night. So some of the lower lying areas are closer to the lakeshore. That's enhanced into southwestern and eastern Ontario, but it's not out of the question in parts around the Golden Horseshoe here. A few isolated, really light sprinkles possible tomorrow into the afternoon hours, convective stuff. Primarily, it will be a dry day and sunny with just a few more clouds in the afternoon. So it is going to be a nice day on Friday, albeit a little bit stickier. Then here comes this cold front. See how it kind of breaks apart because of the timing? The sun will have set, our sun's setting just before 7:30 now this time. And so what we'll find is that it kind of breaks apart a little bit, but Friday night, stray shower through the overnight. Really, it's going to be mostly cloud cover that has an influence. And so we start off with some of that cloud cover for Saturday morning, and then we get into clearing again, and the temperatures just come down a little bit, humidity down a little bit too, but it's going to build again. There's that risk for fog into southwestern Ontario. Look at your humidex. Highs close to 30 and the humidex at 36 for tomorrow. And the readings tonight, good, but still, those are above seasonal too. An overnight low is closer to 11 at this time. And there you are tomorrow, that humidex. Watch out for that. 33 to 34 is going to be a little bit stickier. And then Saturday, there we go with that temperature coming down. Talia wanted a few more days like today. You're seeing that certainly as we go towards Sunday. And then we'll bring back some heat and humidity the beginning of next week.
Perfect. Thanks, Colette. Finally tonight, one young girl from Orillia found a unique activity to wait out the pandemic. 7-year-old Morgan Mansfield spent her spring and summer rescuing monarch eggs and caterpillars. Since June, she's raised and released just over 100 healthy butterflies. We spoke with her about what inspired her and her message for those who want to help.
Today I will be tagging this monarch. It stays in the cage so it can dry its wings. And then when it's trying to escape it, we tag it and release it. You put it right on the disco cell and press. Put it on your hand. And when it's ready, it will fly away. Take off! I I've been raising monarchs because they're very close to endangered. We've been finding eggs and caterpillars from our neighborhood ditches and milkweed groves and rescuing them. Keep your hands straight like this while putting it in front of the monarch.
The very first year that we did this, we were lucky enough to just sort of surprise find a couple caterpillars. We left them to nature, but a few days later, the milkweed that they were on got mowed down. That was fairly late in the season, so we couldn't do anything about it. But the next year, Morgan found one and came running inside with an egg, saying, "I watched the monarch lay its egg." That was kind of the catalyst for starting.
Go monarch! One time, I had one marching up my shirt, and it was here. It looks like a butterfly attack. Surprise has been outside her entire life, and this one hasn't.
She was home since March 2020, so it's a long time for a kid to be at home and isolated. So this has been fantastic for her to get to learn some science and to contribute, hopefully, in a meaningful way to the scientific community and things that she can then share with other children.
This is a chrysalis. Don't cut down milkweed if you find it in your backyard, front yard, or in your ditch. Leave it for the monarchs. And if the city comes to mow it down, tell them to stop mowing down milkweed. This is missing control for Morgan's monarchs.
And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6, and I'll see you back here tomorrow night at 11. Good night.